Just when things look good for the Blues, it really isn't.
Hey, this is Brayden Chen.
Subscribe to Lock On Blues.
You're Locked On Blues, your daily podcast on the St. Louis Blues. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome back to Locked On Blues. I am your host of Locked On Blues, Haley Taylor Simon, talking to you all things about our St. Louis Blues here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team. Yeah, so we have that to talk about. Loss of Columbus. Just call this a rebuild. And then are the Blues going to be buyers or sellers at the deadline? Because I think that we do need to have an honest discussion about where we see the Blues. But before we dive into anything, I just want to let you know that you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets if you win or lose your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. All right, so let's talk about this loss to the Columbus Blue Jackets that the Blues had on Saturday, because honestly, at the end of the day, right, they had a 6-2 win over the Anaheim Ducks. Things are looking good. But the Blue Jackets, I know, it was a 2-1. Technically, it wasn't like that, and I'll explain, but Adam Fantilli, he scores towards the end of the first period for Columbus, and he makes it 1-0. And then Cole Sillinger, he's able to make it 2-0 at the end of the second period, right? And not for nothing, and I can appreciate the one goal that the Blues did have, and it came from Colton Parayko on a power play, which is good, right? Only that it was 12 seconds left of the game. Yeah, so he scored it at 1948, which normally I would be like, oh, okay, but it doesn't really paint the picture of what the game was. And I just kind of feel like at the end of the day, Columbus and the Blues, I mean, both teams really had a lot of shots on goal, but it just was like one of those games where I just felt like Columbus was just playing as the better team. That was my biggest takeaway from it, and it's just a frustrating loss. Anytime I feel like there's a low scoring type of games, it sucks, right? And there's more to it than just, the game. Because here's the thing, right? And I've talked about this prior, and I've talked about this, I feel like, on the podcast, right? But you lost to the Blue Jackets in both of your games in 7 days, which maybe this game you could make the argument that it wasn't as bad because it wasn't as high scoring. However, I still feel like, I don't know, it just didn't sit right with me, I guess, the game, because here's the thing with the Blues, right? They had opportunity, right? The Blues did begin the third period on the PK, and they did have a short-handed opportunity by Bushi, which, again, things just did not go the Blues' way. But at the end of the day, just was not good enough, right? Kyrou draws a penalty with 12 minutes remaining, but the Blues couldn't generate a single shot on the power play. So, again, did not go well. The Blues did have a shot advantage, though. It was 11-2 in the third period with like 5 minutes left. And that was another frustrating aspect, was that the Blues were taking plenty of shots on goal and they had the opportunities. They just couldn't capitalize on it. Anywho, with 4 minutes left, Binner did go to the bench. And then Kyrou was able to draw another penalty, a tripping penalty this time. And it was a 6-on-4 power play. And as I said, with like 12 seconds left, Parayko was able to rebound off of Bolduc's shot and get his 8th goal of the season. So while that is good, right? And I'm happy about that. I still feel like, at least for me, that this game was a lowish effort. And I'm not saying that the Blues going to put effort in. It just kind of seemed like that. I just don't understand with the Blues that they can have such dominant games, right? But again, the teams that they are beating, like the Ducks, like the Blackhawks, right? Not good teams. And the Blue Jackets, not for nothing, they have been a really good hockey team as of lately. I've been following them quite a bit. And I don't know. It's just a very like frustrating type of loss. And after a loss like that too, and then I know you have the Flames for a couple games, but you have to really just evaluate where this team is at. And for the Blue Jackets, this is their fourth straight win of the season. The first time actually this season they did that. And when you have a team that started off the season not so good like Columbus, and now they've been able to become one of the better teams, especially in the Metropolitan. And then you have the Blues, who were only a couple points out of a wild card spot, but still kind of lack just, I don't know if it's talent. I don't know if it's, chemistry on the ice. I don't know what, and I can't even get a grasp for what it is. But you know how there's like different tiers, and I was talking about this with a buddy the other day, how there's different tiers, right? You have like excellent, you have good, you have not so good, and then you have like bad. The Blues are in the not so good kind of category because for me to consider the Blues to be a good team, I expect the Blues to be able to win games against teams that are maybe to the same caliber, maybe a little bit less, right? Like, let's go look back, for example, the past couple games, especially in December, okay? They lose to the Blue Jackets, but the Blue Jackets are becoming a better team, so that's fine. Beat the Ducks, which they should. They lose to the Wild, but that was expected. Lose to the Blue Jackets, shut out the Senators, and then beat the Blackhawks. So I'm not saying it's not for nothing. Like, they beat the Predators, they lost to Buffalo. Like, you shouldn't be losing to the Sabres. You shut out the Red Wings. You lose to the Panthers, but in overtime, so I'll give them that. Lose to the Lightning, lose to the Devils. Like, I guess the point that I am trying to make is that the Blues haven't beat any really good teams in a while. That to me is concerning. I mean, like, the best they did recently, I guess, was like the Canucks. You can make the argument for that. The Jets, actually, December 3rd, but it's January 13th now, and I just hope you can appreciate where I'm coming from. I'm coming from the place of, hey, this team hasn't had much. I mean, it's really actually, they haven't had many dominant wins. They have 44 points, right? And it only gets worse between them and the Avalanche. The Avalanche have 53, so that's a 9-point differential, right? I really can't even grasp right now what is exactly going on with the St. Louis Blues. And I think that is what the most concerning part is that the St. Louis Blues have this potential. They do. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a fan. I'm saying that because it's the truth. They do have potential. I just don't think with this current team that they have, with some of these players, that it's going to take them anywhere. And that is the reality of where the Blues are at. Because again, the Blue Jackets, and just so I can give you kind of like a picture, right, of the Columbus Blue Jackets and to just let you know how they're doing. Um, as I said, it was the first time that they have now won 4 games in a row. So good for them. But if you want to take a look, right, um, maybe at the Metropolitan I can do because that way you can get a better idea for how they are there. They're fourth in the Metropolitan with 46 points, which again, like the Metropolitan, a lot of teams are kind of competing. They're all like a couple points within each other. So Capitals have 61 points right now, by the way. So do the Jets and so do the Golden Knights. And yeah, wow. So 3 teams have 61 points, which is actually insane. And then I'm looking at the NHL standings throughout the entirety of the league. I like to do things like that. I don't know. But I can actually dive into this in the next segment because this kind of gets into what I want to talk about there. There is a lot to talk about today with the future of the St. Louis Blues and some frustration. But let me talk to you about my friends over at FanDuel. From big upsets to game-winning drives, the NFL playoffs are better with FanDuel because right now new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. The FanDuel app gives you everything you need for live bets, same game parlays, and so much more. Visit the website and share betting lines. My bad. I'm not going to edit that out because that was funny. But I did say, hey, take the Philadelphia Eagles. They were -4.5, and guess what? That hit. Tonight's game is a big one. If you're watching before kickoff tonight for Monday Night Football, you have the LA Rams and the Minnesota Vikings. They're playing in Arizona due to the fires in Los Angeles. But I have the Rams tonight on money line. So make sure to check out FanDuel for that. That was actually kind of funny that I messed that up a little bit. So just visit FanDuel.com to join today and get started with $200 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com. Make this playoff season unforgettable with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. So let's talk about the NHL standings, because this to me says that this team might have to go into a rebuild. All right. So we are looking at the West, obviously, right? As I said, the Blues somehow are 2 points away. But that might have changed. That did change because the Canucks got another win. All right, so the Blues are like 4 points away from being in the final wild card spot, which, yeah, um, which is a little weird to me just because the Blues are not a good team. But I mean, hey, it is what it is. I thought that was actually kind of funny. And the thing is, though, and this is why the NHL is so weird to me. The Blues are 21st right now in the NHL, right? They're a 500 team, literally 500. It is definitely possible, okay, for them to be a playoff team. 100% it's possible. But realistically, do I think that they're going to accumulate enough points to do so? No. I don't even think they're going to be close. I really don't. I think this is actually going to be worse than last season just because of some of the ways that they've been losing and some of the ways that they've been inconsistent. I just don't think that this is I don't know. And even after the game, Robert Thomas said the lack of urgency in our group is hurting us and it's hurting our consistency. So that kind of goes along with what I'm picking up on from when I'm watching the games. It just is not consistent. They can have a really good game against Anaheim on Thursday, a 6-2 win, and then they can lose 2-1 to the Blue Jackets on Saturday. So it's this inconsistency that's been accumulating, and it's only getting worse. And why is it getting worse? Because it is January 13th. I told you how important of a month January is, right? This is a month, you have a lot of games. February is a very light month because you have the 4 nations. And then you have March, which is the trade deadline time. So my cat wanted to say hello. She says, "Let's go Blues." But yeah, no, it is a very busy and hectic month, and a month where you did need to gain a lot of points. Now, again, looking and seeing how the Blues did so far this month, right? I'm not too impressed. This isn't, pushing me over. I'm not sold yet. So for me, when I see the Blues are 21st in the NHL out of 32 teams, by the way, and they're a couple points away from a wild card spot, which is like, just shows you how bad the NHL is this season. I didn't say that. No, but I did because it's true. But when I'm looking at that, I can't help but think to myself, and maybe you feel this way too. Wow, this is actually a lot worse than last season for numerous reasons. If the Blues were more than like 4 or 6 points out from being a wild card contending team at this moment, I would feel a lot better because I would know for sure that this team knows what they need to do. They need to get a good draft pick, make some moves and changes, and so on. But because they're so close, I'm afraid that Doug Armstrong is going to push the Blues and make some moves to get them into the playoffs. And that's what concerns me, because even if the Blues do get into the playoffs, they're going to get eliminated in the first round. Like, I'm just saying what's on everyone's mind. This isn't a team that's going to, have a huge turnaround all of a sudden and become a cup contending team. Like, they're not. That's the reality. And if that's what you think, please evaluate the St. Louis Blues and let me know on just why would you think that, right? That's not happening by any means. So again, you need to take a closer look at this team and see them for how they are and realize and understand and accept and come out of your denial phase that this is not a playoff team. Do you think I'm having fun coming on my podcast, my show every single day and having to basically say about my team that I'm a fan of, they're not good enough? No, it sucks. It sucks having to talk about the team that I cheer for. I'm looking at all my Blues apparel in my room. I am a Blues fan who has to come and do a show and explain why they're not good enough. Of course, that bothers me and upsets me because at the end of the day, you want to see your team succeed. But right now, they're just not there yet. And it's like every single season, right? You have the expectations of your team being a good team, right? I mean, that's like, who wouldn't be thinking that? But right now, it's only getting worse. Not only do you have 2 upcoming games against the Flames, you have Utah, who actually is a better team than people give them credit for, despite that they're maybe not having the best season. Then you have the Golden Knights for 2 games. Then you have the Stars and Canucks. And then you finish off January with the Avalanche. So as I said, the beginning half of January was supposed to be your easier like half of the month. Well, you only won a couple games. You have some really difficult games coming up, and I don't think this team is going to win them. I'm sorry. Like, I can't come on my podcast and do my show and lie to you. That's one thing I can't do. And sure, am I a little too tough sometime on the Blues? Absolutely. But I keep it honest, I keep it real, and that's why I think that the Blues just need to call this a rebuild. Call it a rebuild. Just say, you know what? This is not our season. Let's do the right moves to make sure that future seasons will have better results. But if the Blues don't take accountability and ownership and come to their senses of what is truly going on, this is only going to get worse. It's not going to get better. It is getting worse. It's getting worse every single day. I watch this team and I cannot believe that there's people out there that think that this is a playoff team. I really can't believe it. And it's not the fans, it's the management. I seriously think the management thinks this. I think that the fans, at least from who I follow on Twitter and, who I tweet with, we're all on the same page that this is not a playoff team. So that is why my next topic of discussion is buyers or sellers at the deadline. But first, I want to talk to you about my friends over at Rocket Money. Because, first off, I just need to get this out of the way. Did Rocket Money help you find any subscriptions you forgot about or that you were paying for twice? Well, that definitely happened to me. I had a few subscriptions that I didn't even realize I was still paying for. And Rocket Money made it so easy to track them all down. It's like having a personal assistant for your finances. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps you find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. It brings everything together in one place, whether it's subscriptions or spending habits or even the goals you want to hit this year. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of 500 million in canceled subscription savings members and saving members up to $740 a year with using all the app's premium features. For me, one of the best features is the subscription tracker. I've used it to cancel services I wasn't using anymore. And I've already saved a ton. Plus, with their goals feature, I've been able to automatically set aside money for my future. No more stressing about budgeting every month. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/lockedon today. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon. rocketmoney.com/locked-on. Are the Blues buyers or are the Blues sellers at the trade deadline? They better be selling. I am sorry, but if they are buying, that is the dumbest thing that this team could possibly do. The St. Louis Blues need to sell. They need to free up cap space so that way this offseason they can actually sign some talented players that are hopefully below the age of 30. I'm just saying. I can't stand this whole narrative of, oh, well, if the Blues get this one more player, they could be, off to the playoffs. No, that is not happening. You cannot rely on, and you can't rely on one player to take your team to the playoffs. Like, they need to actually do like a rebuild, honestly, but I don't think they're going to actually do that. So here's the thing. I can't say for sure who will be traded, right? However, I can say that March 7th obviously is the trade deadline. It's also when the WWE is in my city for SmackDown. I know nobody cares about that, but I love wrestling. Okay. But here's the thing. There is a lot of speculation, a lot of rumors, and JT Miller is one of those names. Now, do I think JT Miller could help the Blues? Absolutely. Do I think he's coming here? Absolutely not. Again, a lot of eyes on the Buffalo Sabres just because they're not a good team. And I feel like they could actually do a lot. People also are speculating that John Gibson, who is Anaheim's goalie, will be traded. And there's also some other moves going around the NHL about Brock Nelson. Now, personally, I don't want him. He's 33. No, thank you. I'm not mean. I just don't think it's going to happen. Now, there is some rumors that Joel Farabee and Morgan Frost from the Philadelphia Flyers, the other team that I cover, I'm very vocal about that. I don't care. It is what it is. You all found out anyways. That they might be traded at the deadline. Finally, players under the age of 26. Now, do I think that this could be a good thing for the Blues? Maybe. I think Morgan Frost has more potential than Joel Farabee. However, I think adding Frost to the Blues would actually really improve like the third line. So I wouldn't be opposed about that one. It is a little ironic though, and I have talked about this before because I do think that the Blues and the Flyers have like this odd type of relationship, but again, here's the thing. The St. Louis Blues need to sell. I don't think that they would buy anybody. I know that there's been some rumors going around maybe about Brandon Saad. Do I think any team's going to want him? I don't know. Like, that's the thing. I don't know how valuable our players truly are. And I discuss this all the time with Sportsology at the hockey games. We'll see. Yeah, but like I can't have any more 30-plus-year-olds come on this team. It's too much. All right, I will talk to you all tomorrow previewing the Flames game. But like always, let's go Blues.